and welcome to Late Edition. The stage is all set for the rollout of the world's largest cash transfer program after Lok Sabha passed a bill on Friday providing statutory backing for Aadhar. The biometric-based identity scheme is expected to make the delivery of 3.5 lakh crore worth of central welfare benefits and services such as passports and driving licenses faster and more reliable. Since Aadhar bill was passed as a money bill by Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha does not have the pass to amend it or reject it. It can only discuss a money bill and make recommendations, and the bill will be deemed to be passed by the Rajya Sabha after 14 days from the date of receipt. Tonight in Late Edition, we will ask what difference will statutory or legal backing for Aadhar make in the lives of intended beneficiaries or those entitled to government benefits and services. And to discuss the pros and cons of legal backing for Aadhar, we are joined in the studio by Himanshu Vats, Senior Editor, Economic Times. We are also joined by Dr. P. Pulla Rao, Senior Journalist, and Satya Prakash, Legal Editor with the Hindustan Times. I welcome you all to Late Edition. I'll begin with you, Mr. Prakash. How will Aadhar bill, once it is enacted into a law, make lives easier for the citizens, and what does legal backing for Aadhar really mean for intended beneficiaries?
The legal backing, because for the last 3 years, almost 3 years, the government was facing the challenge in the Supreme Court. A former judge of the Karnataka High Court challenged the legality of Aadhar, and primarily on the ground that there is no statutory backing to Aadhar. Aadhar was set up, this authority was set up in 2009 by an executive order. And since it doesn't
the idea was only then to assign a unique number to every resident, isn't it?
But the way biometric details were being collected, that gave rise to this challenge, and the Supreme Court has referred the matter to a larger bench of the Constitution bench. So that will come later. But by passing this law, the Lok Sabha, the very basis for challenge before the Supreme Court is gone. The challenge was based on the fact that there is no legislative backing to Aadhar. Now that there is a legislative backing to Aadhar, in all probability, that challenge is going to fall flat.
Absolutely. So you are saying that this will help the government clarify its stand as far as privacy concerns and other concerns
because that was
in the
main,
Supreme Court.
Yeah, that was the main challenge to Aadhar. And second, so far as the beneficiaries are concerned, intended beneficiaries are concerned, there are lots of documents we have. We have voter ID card, we have PAN card, we have passport, we have driving license, and for various purposes we are supposed to adduce certain documents. Sometimes we are asked for driving license, sometimes for voter ID card.
Whereas this could lead to a one citizen, one national identity number concept.
One identity, and your all problems are solved. So it's going to be very beneficial for intended beneficiaries.
Okay. Now, Mr. Vats, the government says that on a daily basis, 5 lakh to 7 lakh people are added into this system of Aadhar. And we know that the kind of benefits that the government gives to beneficiaries is to the tune of 3.5 lakh crore or 3 lakh crore. The question is that once this Aadhar bill is enacted, do you think that there will be a greater ambit of Aadhar as far as welfare schemes are concerned, that there will be an expansion of sorts?
I would expect that, because the government's intention is to target the subsidies much better. Right now, what happens is the subsidy money leaves Delhi, and by the time it reaches the beneficiary, very little of that is left. It gets leaked, siphoned off, all kind of things happen on the way. So once you can target the beneficiary and make sure he gets it directly on the basis of his Aadhar card and his bank account, the Jan Dhan account, or whatever, you are actually able to give much more to the poor person without spending much more, by actually spending much less. So
15,000 crore is the kind of money that was saved only due to Aadhar being used in LPG in one financial year.
Just in LPG, and that's one of the smaller subsidies. If you look at the fertilizer subsidy, you look at food subsidy, there's so many subsidies. The savings will be phenomenal. LPG is one very good example, because what it did was it cut out a lot of misuse. And generally there's a lot of misuse in every subsidy. Kerosene is an example, food subsidy also. People say what is meant to be subsidized food for the poor is actually going to some mill and getting packed and then being sold to the market to people like you and me.
There are concerns vis-a-vis diversion of fertilizer subsidy also, which the government is trying to curb through neem coating of urea, among other measures.
In fertilizer subsidy, there's another issue. There is payment of subsidy to the companies. Now, even companies are saying that at times this gets delayed. So nobody is really gaining. There's the issue of the health of the soil. Because of the subsidy distortion, farmers will just keep on putting the cheaper fertilizer.
So you're saying essentially a lot of money will be saved off the government.
A lot of money will be saved, a lot of
and there will be a greater expansion.
Will be generated, and it's overall good, provided certain concerns are taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come to the concerns in a bit, but Dr. Pulla Rao, let's touch upon some of the concerns that the citizens would have. What happens if a citizen does not have an Aadhar card? Will that citizen not be entitled to a government benefit? How will it work then?
No, not at all, Aadhar card is not compulsory. You can get other subsidies, but Aadhar makes it easy for the government to reach out to all the people. In addition to giving the benefit you are entitled to, the Aadhar card will let you know how many benefits you are also getting. Many people get multiple benefits without us knowing it. For example, if I am a student at a university, I may be getting a grant from the UGC and from my state government and from some other place. So once you have one number, at least they will know what I am getting or what I am not getting. That will also give you an overall view of what an individual is getting in this country. Now, we don't know who gets a scholarship, for example. All over the country, there are over 100 million people who are getting scholarships, or 50 million. All of this, slowly, it will take time. You just can't penetrate on the next
Absolutely.
year.
Tax issues could also be sorted out through the use of Aadhar with legal backing. But Mr. Prakash, another question that would be there in the minds of some viewers would be that whether this card will, from here on, once this bill is enacted into a law, confer a right of citizenship of domicile, or is it only a proof of your identity? What would you say to that?
It's just an identity. The law clearly says it's not going to confer citizenship on anybody. So that's very clear. And for that also, even for getting Aadhar, the person has to be in India for at least 182 days. I suppose the date preceding his application, he or she has to be in India for at least
182 days in 1 year before the filing of application.
So this is not going to confer any sort of citizenship on anybody. That's very much clear in the Act. It's very much written in black and white. But one of the best things that it's going to do is checking corruption. How technology can be used to check corruption, this is going to be one of the best examples. One example we have seen in Delhi Metro. We have lots of problems like people traveling without ticket in various trains, particularly in suburban areas. Here in Delhi Metro, everybody travels after buying that card, and technology has ensured that nobody misuses it. This scheme, Aadhar scheme, is going to be experimented at a very large scale in India. It's going to check corruption in government at a very large scale.
Okay, we've touched upon privacy concerns because there are several petitions which the Supreme Court has clubbed together and the Constitution bench is looking into them. With regard to the issue of privacy and security of data, because biometric data would be available to the authorities, are there adequate safeguards in place in the bill to check that?
Yes, the government has made very clear statements that issues of privacy and all will be completely protected unless there's an issue of national security or if there's a court order.
And even in those circumstances, I understand biometric information would not be shared.
It's a matter of the intent of the government, what it wants to do. And I think in this case, it's very clear the basic driver of this Aadhar movement, the Aadhar law, is to target subsidies in a focused manner. The intention is not to invade people's privacy, because if the government wants to invade your privacy, it does not need this Aadhar legislation at all. It can do it anyway. The state has many agencies if they want to get information. So I don't think Aadhar is actually an instrument of that kind of an intention. People have raised concerns and these need to be addressed. But on the whole, the benefits are so compelling. It is such an important, essential piece of legislation and the system of identification that this absolutely has to go through. People have raised issues, the government has responded. It's good to have a debate and to persuade the people that these concerns are met. But what I am opposed to is if somebody says that because of these concerns you should not have this. That's where I
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the issue has already been delayed for quite some time. For around
Yeah.
6 to 7 years, this matter has been hanging fire. Mr. Pullarao, there were demands that a parliamentary committee look into the bill. Earlier also, there was a standing committee that had made recommendations on the bill. Do you think that this would have only just delayed matters further?
No, not really. It's perhaps the time has come, as our colleagues also say. You see, you need such a thing. We have such a vast network of benefits which we give, and around the world, this direct.
So, giving it to a parliamentary standing committee is simply not warranted. Is that that's
No,
what I'm
sometimes,
asking
you know,
you?
the parliament or the government is not. It does not have to take all the recommendations of the standing committee. The standing committee will examine it and give its views. It goes into a taking of views. Finally, it gives its views, and that just acts as another input. So, Parliament standing committee.
But if the government would have sent this bill to another standing committee, it would have delayed matters,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
And there's no need, as our friends have just said, it is not of, you know, it's not going to invade your privacy essentially. It is not going to do something which we don't have. And improvements are constantly going on. It may be the ideal thing for us today in 2016, but as we have more technology, as we have more new uses and needs, there may be some other item, some other technological instrument which we may use, which will be better than the Aadhar card also. This is good for today. We can't predict the technology of tomorrow. As is, where is, it's okay. But eventually, you know, these things also will be outdated. Don't forget that. And don't also forget that there's nothing permanent about this kind of instrument for identity and for transfer. There'll be ways that people who want to get around it will get around this also.
Okay.
You know, there's no subsidy, corruption-proof subsidy anywhere in the world. So therefore, this is the best we have. And to delay it further, as you have just mentioned, would be pointless. And you know, you have so much to give and people are very anxious to get their subsidies.
Okay, on that note, we'll take a short break at this point in time, and after the break, we'll continue our discussion on the pros and cons of giving Aadhar legal backing.
बहुत बहुत बधाई हो, आपने अपने बच्चों को पोलियो से बचा लिया। लेकिन जब तक दुनिया में पोलियो का एक भी केस है, पोलियो का खतरा बना हुआ है। इसीलिए अब सरकार देश में पोलियो इंजेक्शन की शुरुआत कर रही है, ताकि आपके बच्चे को मिले डबल सुरक्षा। अब अपने 1 साल से छोटे बच्चे को टीकाकरण सत्र में पोलियो की तीसरी खुराक के साथ जरूर दिलवाएं पोलियो का इंजेक्शन। क्यों राधा, इससे क्या होगा पता है ना?
हाँ दीदी, पोलियो से डबल सुरक्षा हमेशा के लिए।
याद रहे, पोलियो की तीसरी खुराक के साथ जरूर दिलवाएं पोलियो का इंजेक्शन।
अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने पास के स्वास्थ्य केंद्र, एएनएम या आशा दीदी से संपर्क करें।
मैं अमिताभ बच्चन आज आपके सामने वो कहने जा रहा हूं जो मैंने पहले कभी नहीं कहा। मैं एक रोगी, हेपेटाइटिस बी का रोगी। 1982 में कुली फिल्म की शूटिंग के दौरान मेरे साथ एक दुर्घटना हुई। ऑपरेशन करवाना पड़ा और मेरे शरीर में 60 बोतल खून चढ़ाया गया। खून का कोई एक सैंपल हेपेटाइटिस बी इन्फेक्टेड था, जो मेरे लिवर तक पहुंच गया। कई सालों बाद आम जांच के दौरान जब इसका पता चला, तो मुझे यह भी पता चला कि मेरा 1/4 लिवर ही बचा हुआ है। लेकिन सही इलाज के बाद आज मैं आपके सामने खड़ा हूं और काम कर रहा हूं। हेपेटाइटिस बी से बचने का पहला उपाय है शिशु के जन्म पर पहला टीका लगवाएं और पहले साल में 3 और नियमित टीके लगवाएं। ये आपका पहला कदम होना चाहिए। मुफ्त टीकाकरण के लिए अपने पास के स्वास्थ्य केंद्र जाएं और पूरी जानकारी लें। देखिए, ये जो हेपेटाइटिस बी है, इससे हम डरेंगे नहीं, लड़ेंगे।
किशोर अवस्था हम सब की जिंदगी का बहुत ही अहम पड़ाव होता है, जिसमें हम सब बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण शारीरिक और मानसिक बदलावों से गुजरते हैं। इस उम्र में खून की कमी यानी अनीमिया काफी आम है, जिसके कारण कमजोरी, चिड़चिड़ापन और थकान जैसी शिकायतें आती हैं। सप्ताह में एक बार आईएफए की नीली गोली लेना किशोर अवस्था में विकास के लिए सहायक होता है। ये नीली गोली शासकीय शालाओं, आंगनबाड़ी केंद्रों और शासकीय स्वास्थ्य संस्थाओं में निशुल्क मिलती है। मैं आशा करती हूँ कि आप सब किशोर और किशोरियां साप्ताहिक आईएफए की इस नीली गोली का सेवन जरूर करेंगे।
कहा था पैसे दोगे मुझे? I need money.
अंजू, ये चोट कैसे लगी?
वो बाथरूम में पैर फिसल गया था।
छुपाने से कुछ सॉल्व नहीं होगा अंजू। ये सब आखिर कब तक? हाँ,
कभी मायके से पैसे मंगाओ तो कभी लड़की पैदा हुई इसका ताना। मैं करूँ भी तो क्या अनीता? छोड़ना, मेरे घर की बात है।
ये तुम्हारी इज्जत की बात है। अपने पति के घर में इज्जत से रह पाना तुम्हारा हक है, और वो जो कर रहा है गैर कानूनी है। इसकी कंप्लेंट करना जरूरी है। डरो मत। डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट के तहत तुम्हारे पति को पहले वार्निंग दी जाएगी और एक प्रोटेक्शन ऑफिसर भी अपॉइंट होगा जो उसके बर्ताव पर निगरानी रखेगा। इसमें काउंसलिंग, इमरजेंसी में शेल्टर होम और मेडिकल की सुविधा भी है।
फिर भी हालात नहीं सुधरे तो घरेलू हिंसा अधिनियम 2005 के अंतर्गत आप निकटतम पुलिस स्टेशन में कंप्लेंट कर सकते हैं। अगर सुनवाई नहीं होती है तो राष्ट्रीय महिला आयोग की मदद भी ले सकते हैं। घर के अंदर होने वाले जुल्म को छुपाओ मत, बल्कि आवाज उठाओ।
आज मेरा एग्जाम है।
अच्छा होगा डेविड, गुड लक।
आज रिजल्ट आएगा।
बेस्ट ऑफ लक।
इस बार क्लास में फर्स्ट आया है डेविड और सेकंड आई है रिया, थर्ड है असलम।
कांग्रेस। पर अब क्या हुआ डेविड?
मुझे आगे पढ़ना है, पर पापा कहते हैं पैसे नहीं है।
पैसे नहीं है? वो देखो,
प्री मैट्रिक स्कॉलरशिप स्कीम।
प्री मैट्रिक स्कॉलरशिप अल्पसंख्यक समुदाय के उन बच्चों के लिए है जिनकी सालाना पारिवारिक आय 1 लाख रुपए से कम है और जिन्होंने पिछली कक्षाओं में 50% अंक प्राप्त किए हैं, और लड़कियों के लिए 30% स्कॉलरशिप निर्धारित है। अधिक जानकारी के लिए लॉगिन करें www.minorityAffairs.gov.in पर या कॉल करें टोल फ्री नंबर 1800112001 पर। सबका साथ, सबका विकास।
ये चांदनी का चौक है।
ये रविंद्र का सेतु है।
मरीना का बीच है
ये आजाद का मैदान है।
खड़े सिंह दा मार गया।
चित्तरंजन का एवेन्यू है ये।
अन्ना का नगर यही है।
गंगा की है ये नदी।
ये लक्ष्मी की कॉलोनी है।
बंकिम का स्ट्रीट है ये। नरीमन का पॉइंट है ये। और मैं तुम्हें इसे
गंदा नहीं करने दूंगा।
यहाँ कचरा
नहीं फेंकने दूंगी।
पान नहीं थूकने दूंगा।
केले का छिलका
नहीं फेंकने दूंगी।
अगर एक बार 125 करोड़ देशवासी तय कर ले कि मैं गंदगी नहीं करूंगा, तो दुनिया की कोई ताकत नहीं है जो हिंदुस्तान को गंदा कर सके।
स्वच्छ भारत, एक कदम स्वच्छता की ओर।
Welcome back. We are discussing tonight what difference will statutory or legal backing for Aadhar make in the lives of intended beneficiaries or those entitled to government benefits and services. We are continued to be joined in the studio by Himanshu Vats, Dr. P. Pulla Rao and Satya Prakash. Mr. Pulla Rao, I wanted to ask you another question, that there is a huge debate going on between political parties over whether this bill should have been certified as a money bill. It is finally the decision of the Speaker, which we know cannot be challenged in any court of law, even by the President or the two houses of Parliament. And Mr. Jaitley has already explained that why it is a money bill, because if money is to be drawn or put into the Consolidated Fund of India, then a bill should be termed as a money bill. So should that settle the debate once and for all?
See, the debate will never be settled because there's always room for various views in a parliamentary democracy. But one thing is clear: the Speaker says it's a money bill. There's no argument, as you have just said. That's the law of the way our parliament functions. And the bill's title also has changed from unique ID, if you recollect. Now it is, disbursement targeting of subsidies. And 3.5 lakh crores is one of the biggest items of expenditure we have from the budget, from the Consolidated Fund of India. Therefore, I believe that this is being unnecessarily raised at this point, just to create some controversy over security reasons and this and that. And there is no room for that. The clarity is there. It's a money bill. It deals with money. The Speaker feels so. The Speaker is empowered. And therefore, there should be no controversy. And any suggestions that Rajya Sabha want to make, they can make those suggestions. It goes back. Ultimately, it has to go through. And, as you've just said, controversies will always come because in a parliamentary democracy, the opposition has a right to raise anything it wants. But since our parliament rules are so well framed, They can't go to court. It is not judiciary cannot intervene. The president cannot intervene. It is a settled fact. And we had many precedents also earlier. Speaker has declared it. The Speaker has certified it. The matter should rest.
Absolutely. Mr. Prakash, is use of biometric information the surest way of identifying people better in terms of technology than using, say, a driving license or a PAN card or some other instrument like a passport? Because even passports face issues of duplication and fraud.
Well, passports are issued only to Indian nationals. In this case, it is being issued to anybody who is residing in India.
Okay.
So it's anybody, even foreigners, can have Aadhar and you can track them. So that way it's better. And biometrics, of course, biometrics is a better or rather foolproof way of identifying any person. Apart from that, this particular provision in this, the only concern that was raised, and valid concern I would rather say, was privacy concern. Now that this bill addresses, there are 2-3 things. One is you have legislative backing for collection of biometric details, storage of biometric details, and if there is any misuse, you can punish the person. If I'm aggrieved by
punishment
misuse,
of 3 years of imprisonment has been entailed.
And 10 lakh rupees. The only point on which there is a scope for improvement is whether there should be a difference between individual offender and companies. That is because individual offenders, they will get 3-year imprisonment and 10 lakh rupees fine. For companies, it's less. I suppose it's 10,000 rupees and 1 year imprisonment. If that part can be addressed, rest I find because and second is whether only this authority should have right to approach, right to file a complaint. If an individual is aggrieved, whether he or she should be allowed to file a complaint or not. These are the 2 points where there is a scope for discussion and improvement. Otherwise, I find this bill is perfect, and once passed, it must be rolled out.
Okay, Mr. Vats, do you think that this will help propel India further towards the direction of a cashless economy? Also, we've not talked about how services would be faster and more efficiently available to people. For instance, banking services, land registry, getting new mobile connections. How will that change?
All that should change for the better, because right now we have a very funny system. If you want to renew your passport, you have to show them your license. Then when your license expires, to renew it, you show them the passport again. So it's a kind of a cyclical thing, and something like a license and passport is something you have to be upper middle class to be doing it. Generally, most people do not think of traveling abroad, and therefore the need of a very basic identity which is easily accessible, like Aadhar has been, many people have got it, is very important. And the moment you have it, as you said, opening a bank account, a mobile number, I would say even the record of a person, if you need police verification for a passport, and if even criminal records and police station records, any violation is, you keep your Aadhar number. A click of a button, the authority should know that, okay, given the passport, you don't need 8 months for police to go to this police station, that police station. So everything should get easier. Once your identification is easy. Likewise, if you're traveling by train, going by air, it's so much easier for both the person and the authorities to check. So once you achieve that, it's difficult to quantify, but there will be a huge amount of time saving by people.
Money saving as well for
yeah.
banks as well.
So, it's an important step towards a more efficient society. Things will be pretty intangible. You can't quantify how much time has been saved and how much trouble has been saved. How many people would have spent 11 hours standing in a queue in a passport office. All that together, you are heading for a more efficient delivery of services.
Absolutely. We've seen it in other countries also, Dr. Pulla Rao. For instance, the United States, UK, China, Pakistan, they have one number or the other for identification. Some countries have a national identity number, some have an insurance number, some have a social security number. So why should India be left behind?
See, national identity means you have gone through police scrutiny, your antecedents and also your current activities. This ID, Aadhar will only give you your identification, not your antecedents, not your current activities, not your potential trends, your potentialities also. So other countries which have more of a regimented government had always had a national identity card where a security officer can say, let me see your ID. And that shows everything about you. If we don't have that system yet, you can show a driver's license which is potentially fake. It is just printed somewhere. It looks the same thing. I can produce, anybody can produce. So we are coming towards that situation, whereas you have just
And the government has conceded that there are several fake driving licenses in the country. But yes,
fake driving licenses.
You're right. I mean,
and we have porous borders, so you know there are a lot of to and fro going on. So all of this is a step towards that direction.
Absolutely. The need for
time.
an Aadhar number and a unique identity and giving it legal backing cannot be overemphasized. But Mr. Prakash, do you think that this will give a boost to innovation? Because the bill allows private individuals and companies to use Aadhar for building platforms.
Yeah, it will give boost to innovation. Apart from that, once you start using technology, and this, as Himanshu has rightly pointed out, this cuts time. Time taken in the entire process. For every damn thing you spend hours and hours. This, just click a button, who you are, they know it. And both for the authorities and also for citizens, non-residents, non-citizens also. You don't have to run around from this office to that office, from pillar to post. At one click of button, authorities, they know who you are, where you are, and this. And second, he talked about fake driving licenses. Currently, there are lots of fake driving licenses across India, and one authority has suppose somebody has a driving license. It's cancelled in Delhi. The person will get another one in Ghaziabad or Noida or somewhere else.
So there are many loopholes in the system which needs to be plugged.
Aadhar is every license or every document is linked to Aadhar. The duplication ends. Nobody can get a fake license.
Absolutely. On that note, I thank you all, Himanshu Vats, Pipolla Rao and Satya Prakash, for having joined us on Late Edition. Perhaps the JAM governance trinity that the government has been talking about would move many steps ahead once Aadhar bill gets the legal backing that the bill seeks to provide it. So, Aadhar bill, once enacted, will put India on the track to providing its citizens the world's biggest cash transfer plan and save thousands of crores of taxpayers' money, besides providing access to faster, efficient and more transparent access to welfare schemes and subsidies. With that, we conclude. Thanks for watching.